Bay Area Brawler, Skylar Greenberg, and your Colonial Champion, Sean McCourt. Welcome to the Court-Martail Podcast.
And welcome once again to another edition of the Court-Martail Podcast. If you're a part of the Totally Awesome Podcast, you're already here. You're still here. But if you're coming to WrestleMania Sunday 41, the review, that's all in the right, all the words are there. Just put it in the right order. I am your Colonial Champion, Sean McCarty, here to break down all of the exciting action of WrestleMania Sunday. We've already talked about the day before, but we wanted to break this up into 2 nights, 2 podcasts, because there is a lot to talk about for 2 days worth of WrestleMania. And boy, was it a WrestleMania of all time. And to join me is one of the commentators of all time, and definitely the best proprietor of Totally Awesome Wrestling there is, because he's the only one that there is, Joshageddon. How you doing, buddy?
I still miss Skylar.
Me too. Me too. He didn't send any notes.
I need my stats.
I know. I miss Statman Sky.
Stat.
I'm the stat man. Anyway, that needs to be Skylar's theme song. He comes in with stats and it just to the scat man.
That's better than the joke I was gonna go with. I was gonna say he has a stat fetish.
Well, that he might have. But unfortunately, he was not able to put it into his grammatically emphasized and articulate notes for this time around. But Skylar definitely has a lot of good things to say about The Rock, especially that he was right about it. Oh, speaking of the devil, and here he is. And let's see if Skylar did a thing. No notes. He say no notes, and we frown. So now we have confirmation that Skylar will not be bringing notes. He will just be bringing one gigantic sad face.
Yeah, his thoughts on WrestleMania. 2 words. No notes.
No notes.
Wow. He must have known we were talking
His
about
lawyer must have gotten to him before we did and said he is legally not allowed to comment. But in any case, let's talk about WrestleMania Sunday. All in all,
that was the most hilariously disappointing message I've ever read.
Yes, you could feel the sadness in his text.
Yeah.
But there is sadness in the air when it comes to WrestleMania Sunday. So let's talk about WrestleMania Sunday. Your thoughts overall on the show, Joshageddon.
Well, first off, I'm not going to call it WrestleMania Sunday because I'm not a loser. It's night 2, damn it. Fuck your branding.
What did she do? Sorry.
You know what she did with her placenta.
She was here at the show. So
I would have rather her placenta.
Are you okay, sir? Would you like some water? Are you having a stroke?
That's what the main event of this show did to me. It gave me a stroke.
Yeah.
It was a stroke of genius.
Slap Nuts is happy to hear you say that. Oh, man.
This was a good show, and I fucking hated the main event.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people saying that.
I already discussed this at the beginning of this podcast. For the CMP listeners out there, the previous podcast.
Yes.
Podcastception Womp. Night 1 felt like a B show that was saved by the main event. This felt like an A show with a C- show, stupid, what the hell am I watching main event that almost killed the entire thing for me. Up and down, I thought this was way better than Night 1, and then that happened.
Oh, I agree with you that this was by and large better than Night 1 by a country mile, really.
Just the feeling in the air was better.
Yeah.
The crowd was awake.
And definitely the crowd was much more vibrant for WrestleMania Sunday on this premium live event. As I am working on the buttons to push, the time for talking is over. Now is the time to press buttons. Anyway, Sonic jokes aside.
The only thing that would have saved the main event is if The Rock flew by the arena in a hovercraft saying, "Don't get excited, Cody. That was the easy one."
Welcome to Las Vegas, Cody Rhodes. I hope you're enjoying the clam chowder.
The Rock telling Triple H, "Who's in charge? Me. I'm in charge. Me."
He sees Brandy, he goes, "And speaking of flames, I see you've taken a lover."
That's how you have your job.
But you know what? He probably didn't know Brandy was there because he wasn't fucking there.
Yeah.
Which we're going to talk about at the end of this, and there's going to be a sweet, cathartic promo cut on The Rock later on in this show, where Skyler gets to bask in the glory of him being right about The Rock all along.
Yeah.
As, we're going to get to that. But let's start off. The thing I liked about these two nights is that there was a lot of structural unity. The shows were bookended by a World Championship match with a questionable-ass finish.
Yep. Yep.
And the other shows, the other ends of the shows, meaning the end of night 1 and the beginning of night 2, were bookended with 2 really good triple threat matches.
Oh, yeah.
So there was some continuity throughout this show that I did enjoy.
It was such a strange WrestleMania.
Yeah, it really was. It really was. But we get Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky versus Bianca Belair for the Women's World Heavyweight Championship.
Everyone's favorite person all of a sudden, for some reason, Bianca Belair.
God.
2025 has not been kind to Bianca.
Well, I think they really assumed that she was going to turn heel during that Jade and Naomi match that she didn't get involved with at all. So now they're like, no, fuck you, we don't want you to win this title at all. If you're not going to turn heel, we will make you turn heel.
I think that she's just been female John Cena for too long.
Yeah. And, you know, she came out with the double Dutch, which was kind of cool. But Bianca killed so many roses for that jacket, though.
I was like, don't land on any of the roses in the ring. You'll get thorns.
And Bret Michaels suddenly looked up and excited. And in any case...
And Jon Moxley perked up saying someone's going to get impaled in the middle of the ring.
No, you had me at pale. And...
No, he's wrestling in the main event.
That's right. And so is Moxley.
Why are they both named John?
And they're both named John, and they both choke people out. Thankfully, John didn't on this night. But in any case...
Weird shows and questionable finishes.
Yeah, what is happening to our wrestling show? We got pale Johns who choke people.
And an Austrian who doesn't like it.
Yeah. Well, then out comes Rhea Ripley looking like the mouth of Sauron.
Yes, she did.
Which is a reference for you kiddos out there.
Oh yeah, and a reference I actually got.
Yes.
What am I one for on references that I understood on this night?
Yes. Well, you got all the Sonic references too, so that counts. Yeah. But God, I love Rhea Ripley. Every time I see her, it's like she is such a star.
Mm-hmm.
She looks like $1 million. She's one of the best wrestlers in the world, male or female. You know, and she's just tremendous.
All three of them, even though I did just have that slight criticism of Bianca, all three of them were incredible in this match.
And I have to say, I have never been happier for Io Sky basically giving a giant middle finger to Jim Cornette.
Yep.
Than I did. And Kevin Nash and all these other old guys who are like, she ain't worth shit. She got a fucking pop and a half.
If you don't think Io Sky works, then that's just a you problem.
Well, you're not listening to the fans. Mm-hmm. The fans are behind her.
Or watching.
You know, say what you want about Io's mic skills. That is proven her to be irrelevant to her success.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that she's really found a way, especially as this started going like, no, fuck you guys, I am not going to be the afterthought in this matchup.
And the crowd popped for it.
Yeah.
The crowd popped for everything she did in this match.
Yeah. For sure. And now that being said, Alicia Taylor needs a hairstylist not named Dr. Frankenstein.
This is when she stuttered and said that Bianca was from Tennessee.
Yeah. Well, Bianca Belair was doing her thing. And you know what? I will say this. She leaned into the booze a little bit. Because there really isn't a definitive heel in this matchup. So Bianca knew that she kind of had to just lean into the fact that she was getting booed.
I will say this night and this match started the trend of what I will be referring to as Kip-Up-A-Mania.
Oh my God.
There were so many Kip-Ups on night 2.
Every match. It was ridiculous how many there were there.
By the time we were halfway through the show, I was like, okay, we get it already. You can nip up. Stop doing it.
Well, and speaking of things people should stop doing, do 10 punches, do a backflip, and then put 2 people in the corner and do the punches again. Stop. Stop this spot. It was dumb when 4 people did it and sold in a heap at the Rumble. It's dumb assuming that you can punch 2 women at the same time in the corner with one fist to where they would be both selling concurrently with each other to do that. Stop this.
It looks very goofy.
Stop it. It's a silly spot. And Larry's not even here, where Larry comes out and does a silly spot. And that's a reference.
That is a deep cut.
Where the fuck is Bianca's hairbrush? And in any case, we get a good Asai moonsault. This is where I wrote down, this is good but formulaic. They would pick this up. They would do some things, but at the beginning, it really felt like another triple threat match.
Yeah.
It got better.
Fortunately for me, I like triple threat matches because I guess between the triple threat that is me, you, and Skylar, I'm the odd man out.
Yeah, even though I book a shit ton of them on my own E-Federation program.
You do.
I bitch about them, watching them, but it is like one of the best tools I have when I'm like, I don't know what to do with 3 people. Bam, there it is.
In all honesty, the multi-man matches at WrestleMania kind of carried the show.
Somewhat. I think that there was some of them that were good, but there were some good singles matches in between.
Yeah.
But we get a Razor's Edge by Rhea into Bianca with Io, which was pretty good. We get a nice double back suplex Tower of Doom, which was different. Vegas was hot for Io. And they just were booing the hell out of Bianca.
So is the rest of the planet.
And then Bianca gets a 450, which Michael Cole expertly shouts out, "Shooting Star!"
This is when Wade Barrett had my favorite commentary moment of the night. You could just feel him rolling his eyes.
He's like, "That's okay, Cole. It's a 450. I know what you meant."
It's a 450, Cole. Captain of Weenishire, you.
It's like that meme of the girl helping the grandma back into bed.
Yeah. One of these days, I want Cole to just call too many wrong moves and Wade Barrett to just bullhammer him on commentary.
It's okay, Cole. Take your meds. Here we go. Let's get you back to bed.
Think about Valhalla's horns.
See, that's whereas JR is just sad and grumpy, like, I don't give a fuck, JR, like the way he is on Dark Side of the Ring, where his just soul is crushed. He's like, oh, fuck all you people. No. Cole's going to be like doing extremely excited screams in his late 80s at the nursing home.
And have no idea where he is. Or what
just all of a sudden it'll be like, manhandle slam! It's okay, Cole. It's all right, Cole. Sit down.
Like, I'm the man around here. Okay.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay, Cole. It's okay, Cole. Big goes up in like 3 hours.
Okay, Michael calling a nursing home is the funniest gimmick
just
ever.
Randomly calling out spots would be.
Get away from me, Heidenreich.
That's right. Oh my god. Oh, that's funny. I love the boots up sell that by Io when she went for something on the top, and Rhea just got her legs up, and Io just like face first, just ricocheted back, and then right into the KOD with the two count.
That was such a close near fall.
Yeah.
That was so perfectly timed. And also, Io is so good. All three of them are really good at taking those, like, bouncing off my neck bumps.
Yeah.
Which you probably shouldn't do that much, but still.
Yeah.
You're going to do it at WrestleMania.
Like the over-the-top rope Poison Rana that was countered into the reverse Alabama slam on the post.
That was so insane.
That was ridiculous.
When she started going for the Poison Rana, I was like, oh, be careful. And then Rhea stuffed it, and I was like, oh, is she going to reverse Alabama slam her into the post? And she did, and like my jaw was on the floor.
That was insane.
Yes.
And then we get that big hair slap, and it was a big hair slap.
Mm-hmm.
KOD.
Then we got the Armageddon 2008 finish.
Yeah. But I didn't mind it, honestly, because we got the KOD, and the 2 count was countered by a moonsault that Io did and pinned Bianca with it. And it looked great, and Io deserved the pop that she got.
Yep.
And I was happy that she retained the belt, and, you know, Jim Cornette could suck this one, because I love Jim dearly, but he is wrong about Io Sky.
Mm-hmm.
She's got it. She's got it, and she's got a lot of momentum right now. And, you know, I don't know how long it's going to last, but at least she deserves the moment she's been getting it.
This was a fantastic opener, and my second favorite night of the entire week. My second favorite match of the entire weekend.
Yes, this was my second favorite night of the two.
Yes, yes.
But it was a great match. I really enjoyed it. And what did Skylar have to say? No notes. Sad. But and I would cry about it, but we've got a lot of show to cover, and
wipe my tears real quick.
We will shed tears another day. But we will have Skylar back to talk about. We are going to do in the next week or so. I'd like to do a kind of a catch up on what Skylar normally talks about, which is the Raw after WrestleMania. I want to talk about the acquisition of AAA. So we're gonna hear from Skylar soon enough, ladies and gentlemen. So stay tuned at the Court-Martail podcast.
And his more abridged thoughts on WrestleMania 41 as a whole.
Yes, there's that. Like I said at the beginning of the first podcast, there's not a bridge that Skylar won't travel to get you the latest news and action and jeering at my bad jokes. It's all coming back, and live and in living color, but not performing as a live band. But speaking of live bands,
first off, I have no idea what this weird, almost Power Ranger kind of thing Drew McIntyre was wearing. It looks strange, but also very edgy, so I liked it, kind of.
I didn't mind what Drew was wearing, but I don't quite understand the Power Rangers mannequin with the shield.
I said, why does Drew have a mountain with a Power Ranger helmet on it?
Drew was like, I'm better than the SPD Rangers, ?
Stop stealing CIW things, WWE.
Well, but if the message was that Drew McIntyre could beat the Rangers, I'm like, that's not even really faint praise. But that's I don't know if that's the message Drew was trying to send, but in any case, I love Drew being a badass no matter what he's doing. It doesn't matter to me. So,
then the guitarist from Slayer was out there doing something with his guitar. Something was not plugged in correctly, and we were just getting weird feedback noises.
Well,
have you ever gotten a weird feedback echo guitar solo before?
Well, I feel like part of that was intentional, but I do like right at the beginning you could hear somebody say, I don't have my mic. And I don't know what happened and where that came from and who said it. But this was, I don't know, and then Pat McAfee started talking about Doom and Doom Slayer and all this sort of stuff, and I was like, what the fuck are you talking about, Pat? I didn't know a word of what he was saying. Turned out to be a sponsor thing. What a surprise.
What a shock. at Commercial Mania.
And, you know, say what you want about the Slayer guy, but I still love Priest coming out and having the camera be out of focus and slowly, like, shift into focus as Priest starts, like, getting closer to the ring.
Yeah, he does have a really cool entrance.
He is a great entrance. It's just, he doesn't have any identity beyond I left the Judgment Day.
Besides, I left the Judgment Day and I am a bisexual Undertaker.
And it didn't... I feel like Damian Priest kind of needed to win this match in order to make people feel anything towards him as something of importance for a while.
Honestly, they both needed to win this matchup because Drew has lost so many matches and Damian is struggling to get up the card back to where he was last year.
Yeah.
So you can make the argument that both of them needed to win this match, but I personally think that Drew needed it more.
Well, and I'm not upset that Drew won this match. It's just that it was... I understand, honestly, with the way that they laid out the story, I like the build-up to this.
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea behind this matchup. And it's just... I don't know. They did a jump start. We got furniture. Drew did an over-the-top rope senton that was cool.
And then we had a callback to last year with his quote-unquote brother. Drew McIntyre is one of the funniest dudes on the roster.
Yeah, where he did the selfie.
Yeah, and it was on X, and it bored at work again.
Yep.
Still bored at work.
Still bored at work.
Drew is so funny.
And then we get down here, and I really kind of abridged these notes, which was we get a Claymore, then a very scary chair throw.
Even Drew was like, "Whew." He had a look on his face like,
and then just re-Claymored him.
He had a look on his face like, that scared me.
Okay.
Claymore.
Which
it got him in the chest, so I'm kind of okay with Damian kicking out of this one because it wasn't an especially powerful Claymore.
Yeah. Well, and so they go through this. There's a great razor's edge through the table, so they got that insatiable bloodlust out of the fans' minds.
Yeah.
Which I'm thankful for. Then we get the future shock DDT on the stairs, which was gnarly.
Damian hit the seizure cell for.
But then we get to the spot that I actually loved the most, which was Damian goes for it, remember, I'm bisexual Undertaker, and tries to go for the old school.
Yeah, and it bit him in the ass. And
Priest said, "No, you die now." And just shoved him off of the ropes into two tables.
Yeah.
And I love how when they... By the way, just for what it's worth, I love it when Drew pulled out those tables, it looked like he accidentally got two out. He's like, okay, fine, I'll set two up then.
Yeah.
But naturally, that was on purpose. It was just funny that he grabbed two and was like, all right, fine. But then...
This finish, dude.
This reminded me of that match that Willie Mack had with Brian Cage at Lucha Underground. When Brian Cage put Willie Mack's head through a cinder block. And you were just like, okay, he's dead. That's it. That is indeed it.
He had a chair propped up in the corner, and Damian was kind of hunched over trying to get back in the ring. And Drew McIntyre Claymore kicks Damian's head into the chair, and it made this disgustingly just thud sound. And he killed him. He is dead.
That was it.
And that was a finish. That was a finish and a half.
As Damian Priest's brains were being scraped off of the chair with a spatula.
Yeah, and Damian, the way Damian was selling after the match, where he was saying he couldn't breathe, was wonderful.
Well, yeah. Oh, well, he was coughing after the table spot.
Yeah, he's a very underrated seller.
He is. He is. And it was a great... Honestly, this match was good. I enjoyed this.
Me too.
And, and I'm happy that Drew won, but God, what do you do with Damian Priest now?
I have no idea.
Well, I'll tell you something, man. I don't know what Sheamus is doing right now. But the offer is on the table, but I want at least to be given some Five Guys.
If Sheamus walks into frame with a thing of French fries and Damian Priest is also in the frame, I expect you to call your lawyer, Sean.
Yeah, the lawyer I totally have.
Yes.
Yes, and, well, yeah, if Sheamus just walks up and just quietly puts like a pinstripe little burger hat and puts it on the Damian Priest and puts one on himself, and then they just kind of stand there, spatulas in hand. And then they play that Tiny Tim song that they do at the beginning of SpongeBob when they're feeding all the fucking anchovies.
Oh my God.
That'll be their theme as they walk down to the ring.
Oh Lord.
Yes, trust me. We have the gimmicks that people are going to want to watch. And speaking of things people didn't want to watch, Tony Hinchcliffe got booed out of that building.
But I will give him credit. He ate it up and was just giving it back to the crowd. And then the camera stayed on him for an extra 15 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
And even he was like, okay, you can cut now. Okay, you can cut now.
Yeah. Well, he's a fan first. I mean, he knows his shit when it comes to wrestling. So he obviously knew. Second he got booed, he's like, all right, cool, I can work with that too. So, now, we got a four-way.
The thing you at first didn't want to watch.
Yeah, and I ended up not skipping anything of these 14 matches. I decided I was going to watch through all of it. Although, I must admit, I would not have hated if I had skipped Charlotte versus Tiffy.
Yeah.
I would not. If there was any one match to skip over, that probably would have been it.
Yeah.
Dude wipes.
They made so many poop jokes.
Dude wipes.
My least favorite thing about Dude Wipes is it's the font of Dune. And the first WrestleMania where they promoted Dude Wipes, I thought it was a Dune promo because it's the exact same font.
It's Dune wipes. Wash your sandy ass. And it's
I would wash my sandy banana first.
I was gonna say the Prince of Persia's really in favor of that one. But in any case, I like how Dominic needed a second to remove the mask, and he got grilled for it on commentary.
He did. Michael Cole loves going off on Dominic.
He does. So he really does. And, this thing with Dude Wipes was like, guys, come on.
Are you all five?
Yes, but you know what? It's Triple H back there. Of course they are. But this match, I mean, they all come to the ring. I don't really have any more additional to say about that. I was also starting, at this point, I was really starting to be tired because, ladies and gentlemen, WrestleMania was on Easter Sunday, and I work at a church. I had to be up at 4 in the morning. So having to watch WrestleMania all the way to 11 o'clock was just not in the cards. So this was where I was like fighting myself to stay awake. And there will be a point later where I will mention where I went to bed and resumed watching on the day we're recording to get the rest of it in because I was a sleepy man. But I did enjoy most of this match for what I saw of it. I really wish that Penta's arm breaker that he calls the sacrifice or whatever it is, I still wish that were actually sold as something more lethal than it is now. But that's okay. That's just me being picky. The double German by Braun was really nice.
That was nuts. That was nuts.
And then the rest of this match mostly centered around Carlito.
Oh my, okay, first off, there was a spot early on where two people were on the floor on the outside, and I think Finn was up against the barricade. Out of nowhere comes a flying Braun breaker like 10 feet off the ground. Holy shit. and he just obliterates him. Braun Breaker is my future husband. I love this dude.
He's a future world's champion, man. There's no doubt about that. I'm guessing that's what's going to happen with Braun, is he's going to get elevated in this next calendar year.
He's so incredible.
Yeah, he is.
And I loved it at the like the hype show they had like before Mania. He did the Steiner Math promo, which was hilarious.
It was very good.
Yeah. But speaking of Carlito, you want to talk about a sacrifice? Okay, so they have these weird casino like dealer-looking poker table announce tables, which actually look really cool, and I like how it fit in with the theme of the Vegas theme. So Carlito has Penta on one table. I don't know what he was thinking of doing, but
well, because Carlito was fucking with everybody for like 5 or 6 minutes, whereas Dominic and Balor had the allegiance, and it was gone even after the Penta driver, and then Carlito's just dicking with everybody here, and then they set this up.
And then the idea was, Braun once sawed Carlito in half with an amazing looking spear. How can we top that? Let's have him leap all the way from one table to the other and destroy the table with Carlito. And Michael Cole had like 3 orgasms reacting to this.
Yeah, he did.
And Pat McAfee was dancing like he had ants in his pants. It was amazing and hysterical all at once. Carlito is dead.
Well, they all said that. They're like, I think he's dead. And Wade's like, Carlito's dead, but like, we still got a match to do. Like, Wade was just already past it. Like, it's just fucking Carlito. Like, we got 4 people in a match here.
No one knows why he's out here. The story of his career.
And you know what? That's become a great little gimmick for Carlito.
Honestly.
Because he's leaned into it.
Yeah, he really has. He really has.
And I loved how crazy the crowd was for Dom.
Yeah.
And he finally wins with a very similar finish.
The exact same finish
As
we got the triple threat, like 2 matches prior.
Balor hits a coup de grace on somebody. I think it was
Braun.
It was Braun. And then he goes for the cover, and Dom gets a frog splash on the Balor and pins Balor and wins the belt. And this is nice because Braun didn't take the pin to lose this belt, which is, I'm sure, why they booked this to begin with.
Yes.
Penta got a lot of good shit in, but he shouldn't be losing being the fall guy for matches like this.
And everyone is used to Finn Balor getting pinned all the time.
And I think that is just what they like doing with Balor.
Dude, people online call him Pin Balor for a reason.
Well, it's true, and I feel bad because I've grown on Finn Balor. I like Yabu. And even though he was actually quite softer on the Yabus on this matchup than I would have liked.
Well, he has 3 other people in the ring to drown it out.
Yeah, but that doesn't stop him at the Rumble.
You know what? You're right.
We could hear him over everybody at the Rumble.
His Yabu was part of the commentary.
It really was, though. I mean, he really was. He was screaming it.
Hey, when I was watching the Rumble live, I could hear it off in the distance from my house.
But in any case, but the finish was fine. The pop was great. But God, didn't they just do this finish like 2 matches ago?
This was such a weird WrestleMania.
It really was. I'm like, listen, I'm all about structural unity, but like, you couldn't come up with anything else than this? Like,
this was Wrestle Weirdia.
Yeah.
I will say, Dominic Mysterio has come such a long way.
I'm so proud of that dude. That dude took that heel turn and made it work so well for him that he just got a crazy pop for winning the Intercontinental belt at WrestleMania.
we were so done with him just a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Because he was young and he was inexperienced and it didn't look like he was getting anywhere. And now, he has just become so much different.
Oh, yeah.
And so much so valuable to WWE, I think, in the long run. I'm happy for Dom.
Also, thankfully, we're hopefully either getting the implosion of the Judgment Day or Finn Balor getting removed from the group because they need some kind of structural change with that group.
Yeah.
They keep talking about Dom keeps wanting to add a new member. I'm thinking we might be getting that as we speak because it is a Monday while we're filming this.
Well, it is definitely possible, and this is what Skyler would normally be telling us in the middle of it, as he would be watching concurrently because he's 100% devoted to the integrity of the podcast.
I was going to say he's a good multitasker.
Yeah, he sure is.
You gave him a backhanded compliment.
Yes, Adderall is a hell of a drug, and actually, I joke about that. I have no idea whether Skyler takes the Addies or not. That's between him and the great God.
And his dealer.
And maybe if that's the case, which may be a pharmacist, who knows?
Wink. A lot of winking happening now.
But speaking of people who take different kinds of medicine, it's Randy Orton versus somebody. As I wrote down...
I really, really liked the video package that they gave for it. Was in a similar vein as the CM Punk one before the Triple Threat. Not as this is CM Punk's match as it was for Randy Orton, but it was a nice look back at his entire career.
It was, and I will say this as well. I am so relieved that it wasn't Kevin Owens.
I was a little worried about that myself. And I'm also happy that it was not Aleister Black or Rusev because I was like, are you going to bring back a guy to beat Randy Orton when he's likely wrestling John Cena at the next pay-per-view in St. Louis?
Yeah.
Or are you going to beat one of the new former AEW signees in their first match back?
No, and instead, let's all just beat the shit out of TNA. A good old-fashioned, as much as we've loved to teabag Tony Khan, sometimes we just got to go back to doing what we like doing. Making fun of TNA, beating their world champion with Orton in under 5 minutes. That's what we need right now. A good old-fashioned TNA beating.
But I will say, I popped so hard when Joe Hendry's music hit.
So did Vegas. So did I. Here's the thing. Joe Hendry is going to be huge in WWE when he comes more regularly.
He's going to replace Jey Uso.
Yes. I think Joe Hendry's matches are a little bit better than Jey Uso.
That's one reason why.
But Joe Hendry... I thought this was the funniest thing, but what a Twilight Zone world we live in. That the TNA World Champion is in a wrestling match against one of the WWE stalwarts at WrestleMania.
Yeah, it feels like we fell into a weird time vortex at some point.
The TNA title is on WrestleMania programming. Not just a Raw, but WrestleMania. That is insanely cool.
That is really cool. And it's not like it was a squash, but at least Joe got some moves in.
It was a fun squash, though. And honestly, it wasn't even about the match at that point. It was just about, hey, we here in WWE also believe in Joe Hendry.
Yeah.
Just give us some time to get him here.
I will say, what made me laugh even harder than the finish was Randy Orton. I don't think they meant to, but they kind of buried the absolute shit out of Joe Hendry's finishing move. Because he tried to go for a choke slam, and Randy just looked at him like, what the fuck are you doing? And Joe almost went, I don't know. And the commentary was like, well, that didn't work. And he just shrugged it off. I was like, well, that was Joe Hendry's finishing move. We might need a new one now.
Well, because they love reserving choke slams for people who are bigger. You know, that's why there was. I mean, Shane Helms got chewed out by Shawn Michaels for doing the choke slam.
Yeah.
You know, so it's they're weird about that, but it's in any case, I do have to say, the Joe turning around and doing the smile, and then and Orton coming in from the side frame with the RKO was classically funny.
That was hysterical. It was so funny.
It was exactly what it needed to be. It didn't need to be more than that. Joe Hendry got a great moment at WrestleMania that I'm happy that he got. And
then Randy Orton did the spin around, smile, Orton douche pose.
Yeah. it was great.
I love Randy Orton so much.
It was great. Honestly, it was wonderful. And I loved the tiny piece of lore of Orton wearing the shiny, like, navy blue or purple and yellow that he used to wear when he originally showed up in 2002.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great little touch of, like, just 20 years, you know, of WrestleMania or whatever it was that he said it was. And it was just a nice little touch. I appreciated that as well. So then they show some Travis Scott, just in case you weren't aware of who they were trying to get over in the main event.
Just in case you were enjoying the show.
And, well, I sure enjoyed what was coming up. I really, and as a matter of fact, I know you said this in the chat previously that this didn't necessarily hit the cylinders that you were hoping it would, but I would argue that this was my favorite wrestling match of the weekend.
Really?
I really enjoyed this. And now it is very likely that I really enjoyed this because I got some adequate sleep. Between Orton and Joe Hendry and AJ Styles and Logan Paul, which at this point I was sleepwatching. Meaning I was falling asleep, waking up, seeing like half a move, and falling back asleep.
Yeah,
and
that's when you know, okay, I'll watch the rest of this tomorrow.
I'm like, you know what? I'm actually just gonna take a look at this with fresh eyes and go on from here. So I watched this this morning at the time of recording. And it started off very good for me when AJ came out to his regular ass theme.
To be fair, he's had his regular theme since he came back as a babyface.
But
still, it is nice to hear his old theme again.
Because that other theme was hot garbage.
I didn't hate it, but it was not as good.
Yeah, and so it was nice having AJ come back out to that. That being said, Logan Paul's new theme sucks.
Yep.
And
nothing wrong with his older one.
Nope, that one was just fine. I didn't like the drone shots at first, but I warmed up to them.
My thing is, I also enjoyed this match, but I just felt like it was, when you watch a match, it gets going and then it builds and then it builds and then it gets into that next gear. It just felt like it was stuck in the gear before that next gear, and then the thing with Karrion Kross happened, and then it just ended. And I was like, AJ just cannot get out of the box at WrestleMania for some reason.
It also might have gone longer than it maybe should have. I think they unloaded a lot on each other in this matchup. And they were given a lot of time to do it.
Although I will say, Logan Paul did the most incredible lion salt ever.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing.
He cleared almost the entire ring.
Well,
holy shit, that dude's athletic.
Yeah, he sure is. You know, but I loved, there were little storytelling bits in this that I really liked. Like AJ Styles tricked Logan Paul and sucked Logan into the apron and started dealing with him. And then later on, when Logan Paul puts AJ back into the ring, he uses the apron to choke AJ, so he figured out, he's using the apron but in a much more heelish way You know, to guard that. So it was little details about this match that I really liked.
It showed that Logan was learning as he was wrestling.
Yes, and you know, Logan broke up the count. Like that he did that. You know, the Irish whip and the overbomb. And then the Hulk Hogan jokes that all the commentary made.
when Pat McAfee went, brother. It was like he was trying to do it out of the microphone's reach a little bit, like, brother.
Yeah.
I laughed a little bit. That was funny.
Oh, that was really good. They're like, oh, that fans aren't going to like that.
Nope.
It was like, oh, man, that was so funny. That was really good. And then, but then the moonsault, the pin was nice, but scary close. As, and then the only censor in the entire night, when AJ Styles gets up and is like, AJ's like, fuck you, I'm not losing. I'm not fucking losing.
He said that and he flipped him off and the screen just went black.
Yeah.
And I was, oh, okay.
All right, then.
AJ, you need to calm down.
It's like, oh, okay. Yeah. But it's funny that he did that and he said, fuck you, and then he just got upset at Karrion Kross.
Yeah.
You know, but then we get the Yoshi Garoshi and the Brain Buster.
The way that Logan bumped out of that Brain Buster onto his front, that Logan can bump.
Logan is a tremendous seller.
Yes.
I really have to give him credit for that. And I think that's what that I think kicked things into higher gear for me. Especially
I've never seen someone bump out of a brainbuster like that except in video games.
Yeah. And he did. I mean, and there was just a lot of and then we get this phenomenal forearm counter into the rolling senton into that lion salt 2/3 of the way from the actual ring, which was really impressive. And, you know, he got the 2 count there. And AJ starts kicking Logan's back nastily.
Dude, this was honestly one of my favorite things in the whole match, where he's trying to get him out of the corner to go for the Styles Clash, but Logan's hanging on. So while still holding him in Styles Clash position, he backs up a teeny bit and he just starts kicking the shit out of him.
Yeah.
That's one way to do it. That's one way to do it.
Loudly. And, you know, Logan still gets out of it and does a buckshot lariat that Cole could not figure out what to call. Because he didn't want to call it the buckshot lariat. But then Logan gets AJ into the corner, starts doing those gut punches. His strikes always look tremendous. You know, and then AJ, what did AJ do here? That was this like rotating bomb that he did.
It was a torture rack power bomb.
He hasn't done that in forever.
Yeah.
In forever. I'm like, that is an oldie from AJ.
Oh, yeah.
But it was great to see him pull that out. And then this may be my favorite part of the whole matchup. Logan Paul does a Styles Clash. And AJ goes down, but he's kind of like, he shakes it off, not quickly, but he shakes it off and then delivers one to Logan Paul, and Logan Paul sells it like death.
Yep.
And it's just the idea of like, Logan Paul uses the Styles Clash, but it's not as effective as AJ Styles Clash because it's fucking AJ Styles.
And Wade Barrett pointed it out on commentary. He was like, he got up because Logan Paul can't do that move as well as AJ can.
Yeah, it was the little things in this match that got it for me. You know, there was little subtle storytelling throughout the whole thing that these two, I think, did a very good job with. And actually, I think they have a great chemistry together. AJ has great chemistry with literally fucking everything. And so that's not surprising at all. But and then we get to this Karrion Kross thing, and my God, Karrion Kross got a pop.
Yep.
I was stunned. I'm like, dude, wait, people know who he is and like him now?
Dude, when he was in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal on SmackDown, when he got eliminated, the crowd was furious.
Wow.
Like, the crowd was angry when he got eliminated.
Well,
and it's because of the little character work he's been doing behind the scenes, for the entirety for most of last year. People have been slowly growing on him.
Yeah. Well, this whole thing and his confrontation with AJ, I'm like, and I understood why he was upset, what he was asking AJ to do. He stopped Logan Paul's little toady from handing the brass Knux over, and said to AJ, "Come on, do us all a favor, do us a solid." And AJ's like, "Well, I did say fuck you earlier, but no, I don't want to use brass Knux." And
also, the referee was kind of watching that entire interaction.
Yeah, so AJ hit Karrion Kross, but ultimately turning down the Knux costs him because he gets the punch to the face and then the pulverizer, which is a cool finish.
Mm-hmm.
But I am now re-interested in Karrion Kross, and I loved this. I mean, I think it got it across. Yeah, everyone's pissed that Logan Paul's a piece of shit in real life, but there was still a hell of a match. And Logan Paul is still going to put in the work to give good matches. So long as he's doing that, I really could give a fuck.
Also, he's a heel. You're not supposed to like him.
Yeah.
The more you hate him, good.
Yeah. That's, it's a bonus to me that he's a piece of shit in real life.
Yeah.
The fact that he's naturally got heat just makes him better in the professional wrestling sphere. That's really all it is. But I really liked this match. I would say this was my favorite match top to bottom of the weekend.
It definitely was not one of my favorites. I thought it was good. I was expecting I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't as good as I thought it could be. But also, I just feel like whenever AJ wrestles at WrestleMania, like granted, he didn't have a light blinding half the crowd this time like he did last year with LA Knight and 5 years before that with Randy Orton.
Or an obsession with balls.
Yeah. Love you, Shinsuke.
Yes.
Edge. Or Edge right on the precipice of ruining his image.
Yeah. Edge just being Edge has really hurt a lot of people, we've come to find out.
Yeah.
But in either case...
Yeah. This was good. I didn't love it, but I thought it was good.
Well, I mean, I understand the points you make with it too. It's like, and this show was full of matches that were by and large pretty good.
Yeah.
So this was up to this point. I really enjoyed that, and I mean, at this point, two things had been spoiled for me. I mean, I already knew that John was going to win the belt, but I also knew that somebody wasn't going to show up at the end of the night. But that's all I knew.
Yeah.
And we get more UFC acknowledges, and Michael Cole loves black rappers, we found out. That was a theme on the whole weekend. Every time there was some rapper out there, Cole's like, "Oh, it's my dude!" It's like, please, relax.
He is really getting into this I'm the whitest dad possible gimmick.
Michael Cole, 2044. Quavo! No, it's okay, Cole. Take your meds. It's okay. It's okay. He's my man. It's okay. It's okay. Take your meds.
We know. He hasn't sold a good record in like 30 years. Relax, Michael.
Although I was happy to see Flavor Flav. That was he was cool. Anyway, let's talk about women's tag wrestling.
Do we have to?
Yes, because...
Okay, that's honestly not super fair because there was only one person in this match that I hated.
Well, and there's really only one person that deserves the hatred, and she was not good in this match.
No.
Liv Morgan gets pops. It is said that Raquel is on her like a remora on a stingray or a leech on a human.
That's better. That's much better.
Or Raquel is like a barnacle. Raquel the Barnacle Rodriguez and Liv Morgan versus Flappy Bird Lyra Valkyria and a mystery partner.
Who was such a mystery that everyone was saying it's Becky Lynch.
Well, they only put the camera on her like 48,000 times over the weekend.
Yeah.
So, but it has been long enough a time that I was happy enough to see her back.
A lot of people are like getting annoyed with Becky. Like, she just returns to win championships, and I'm just like, dude, it's the women's
tag belts.
Who cares?
Calm down, dude.
It's not like when she returned and immediately beat Bianca. That was bad.
Be matter at the fact that the women's tag belts have gotten more pay-per-view time than either version of the men's tag belts over the past calendar year.
Yeah.
And if you really want to get upset at something about tag wrestling.
Yeah, or the crowd absolutely going to the bathroom during the World Tag Team title match on night 1.
Yeah, well, and now, that being said, Becky comes back, and this match wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. It was fine.
It was fine whenever Raquel was not involved.
Not in it.
When it was Liv and Lyra or Liv and Becky, it was fine. But holy shit, Raquel Rodriguez is terrible.
Raquel keeps looking like she doesn't know what's happening next.
Exactly. It kind of made me think of Charlotte in the match with Tiffany, but Charlotte was sloppy because she just doesn't want to, because she hates everyone. Correct. Raquel was a different the same level of sloppy, but because she just isn't a good wrestler.
Yeah.
She's she fucked up so much shit in this match.
She did. And now that being said, I do at first I thought it was silly, and it is still silly, but I have to say I love this Flappy Bird gimmick with Lyra Valkyria. This is the funniest thing. Seeing her come out with birds and just flapping them and everyone going, caw! Caw! It's so funny. I don't know why. I'm enamored with it.
She's female Finn Balor. He goes Yabu. She goes, if you're Irish and you don't have that big of a personality, make loud noises a lot. Sean will like you.
It just cracks me up. It does. I don't know what it is. I wish she would do it more in the ring. And
what was even funnier is even the commentator, like when she took the arm feather things off, I was like, she's gonna remove the head part, right? She's gonna remove the head part, right? No, that was her attire for the match.
I literally saw Hayden Christensen staring at you when you said that.
I'm glad you knew that. But there were feathers all over the ring, and even the commentator was like, "Oh, the feathers are flying."
Oh man, and literally,
that hair thing was more ridiculous than Alicia Taylor's hair.
It's really wild, and it's not often that somebody looks sillier than Becky Lynch. But man, Lyra made up for all of the regular costume that Becky looked downright normal compared
to the human bird hybrid.
And I love this. It's like Lyra pitched to Triple H, hey, have you ever seen Rick and Morty? So there's this character, Bird Person. I want to basically just be that.
My favorite character from Sesame Street is
Big Bird.
That's my gimmick.
I have to live up to my heritage.
Sure.
Yeah. And somehow it is getting dumb idiots like me over.
And my favorite character in Dragon Ball Z is Android 16 because he loves birds.
Yeah, literally. Oh, the Ornithological Society right now is going off on it.
I need to change Lyra's theme song to bird.
Yeah, and I was just about to say I was formulating the bird as the word reference I was gonna make. But yes.
Oh my God, I love Lyra so much.
You know what? I say fly with this gimmick as much as you can, and just just don't get too close to the sun. And
I knew an Icarus reference was coming at some point.
Yes, but you know what? Some wrestling gimmicks are stupid, and we tell you to stop. In Lyra's case, keep doing what you're doing. It's
If Lyra is Icarus, Becky is so Daedalus.
Yes.
It's
Well, and we get through this match, and we get to the heat. Liv's Three Amigos don't get as much heat, given that Dom already did it.
Yep.
But man, Raquel has no gift for timing at all. She's always stutter stepping or confused.
Yep. Or missing.
Yeah.
Just whipping.
She's not great. But
Nope.
Once Becky got the hot tag this picked up, it did not overstay its welcome. She got the Molly go round into the Bexploder. She was getting fed beautifully by Liv and Raquel occasionally.
When Raquel remembered where she was supposed to be.
Yes, which didn't happen all the time, but it did happen. But then, Liv hits an Oblivion, which is a 2 count, and Becky, finally there was some schmoz at the very end. And then Becky wins with the manhandle slam.
Your favorite.
And what I said was, Becky won with the rock bottom, and the rock bottom will be the only appearance that he makes tonight.
Yep. You were not wrong.
You have just seen all of the rock that you are going to see in Becky's manhandle slam.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought this tag match, it was a women's tag match that was clearly prepping us for the main event. It wasn't meant to be there for any other reason than to get Becky Lynch over and to get her back into the fold. It was fine. It served its purpose, and it could have been way worse, and it ended up being a good match.
And one cool thing, aside from all the jokes about Lyra, she has 2 belts, and that's pretty cool.
That is very cool. 1 for each wing. And
yes.
I hope they don't weigh her down as she flies from building to building. And it's a good thing she's flying, because she definitely doesn't want to be driving. Because here comes Stone Cold Steve Austin. This right here, this rivals Shane McMahon tearing his quad in the middle of the ring as far as one of the funniest attendance moments of all time. Steve
Sean, when you edit together your copy of the podcast, you have to get the exact frame where he crashed into the barricade.
Oh my God. This was the fucking funniest.
Oh,
this
Lord.
was so good. Austin shows up with the
He sure did.
With the ATV in our vehicle display ceremony, as we've been doing all weekend.
And this one quickly escalated into near vehicular homicide.
The ATV is Austin spending it down there. He's had some beer before he's gone out there. I'm sure that, honestly, a breathalyzer test would probably not have allowed him on that ATV.
He's lucky he didn't drive off the ramp by accident.
Yeah, he was. But he goes out there, the crowd's going crazy, and he does a loop and a half around the ring, and then he hits he went to go hit the brakes, and he hit the acceleration, and he bashed square into this barricade, going a good 15 miles an hour.
Oh, man.
And he hit this thing, whoosh, and this lady fell over and turned around and started cutting a promo on Steve. She was Karen mad. And Steve sitting there like, oh shit, lady, my bad, and just goes into the ring.
No. The funniest thing, you could see him trying to put it in reverse and backing up, but no, that thing was done.
That's where he was leaving it. That's where he was leaving it. Right in front of this Karen to make sure that she knew what had just happened.
But you want to know what made me laugh the hardest?
Oh, man.
I didn't realize that he accidentally knocked anyone over until when he was about to leave or whatever. Like a few minutes later, they cut back over there when he was walking, And Nick Khan was there, reaching over the barricade to make sure this person was alive. And that was when I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
When Nick Khan shows any kind of emotion whatsoever, we have trouble.
Oh, Stone Cold, that was the fucking funniest. Stone Cold losing control of the ATV and just running over some old lady in the fucking crowd. That's the kind of Steve Austin interference I want to see on my wrestling show.
And then, if that were bad enough, there's fan footage of backstage. He hit someone else.
And now we know why Steve demanded a recount. He killed like 3 of the 63,600. It's like, no, that ain't right, because I just took care of a few of them. Let's
No, it's too high. I think I
think they overshot it a little.
I need to manually fix this number myself.
But I also like the fact that Austin somewhat alluded to the fact that WWE has padded their attendance numbers over the years. It's like breaking that kayfabe too, which is hilarious. And him counting and getting the what's was hilarious as well. But him actually coming out and doing a shtick was the least important part of this segment.
No, yeah.
Him crashing the ATV into the people and then demanding a recount of the attendance figures like he didn't just kill half of the people in it. This was great.
This was my favorite Steve Austin moment of all time.
This was great. This was one of the best there has been of Steve of late. This is what I want to see out of Steve. Nearly kill some people. Who cares?
Maybe now he can emotionally recover from Rikishi running him over.
Hey, whatever happens in Vegas stayed in Vegas. You paid for the tickets in Las Vegas. Shut the hell up.
I'm gonna transfer my trauma.
Oh man.
Oh, that was hysterical.
So yes, that was the right amount of comic relief that we all needed for this segment. I watched this at my church this morning because I work at a church, and I watched this, and it was kind of the same look I had on my face when Shane went down, and he just sat there, and it's like, oh no, it was just too good. It was too good. Oh man, Steve, never change. Never change, Steve. That was
maybe brief after you get on the ATV.
That was fantastic. Well,
your company a few lawsuits.
Oh man, that was great. Well, it certainly will take our minds off of it. At least all the harm that Steve does is just hurting a few attendance folk. He's not like this counterpart from the Attitude Era,
who's actively harming,
who's actively damaging the booking and the overall vibe and energy of all of these shows. It's time for our main event. John Cena versus Cody Rhodes for the world undisputed WWE Championship. Now, I will say this. I already knew there was no Rock. We're going to get to that part of this in just a second. In a vacuum, I liked this match. I thought the match was great up until a certain point. Then it got pretty stupid, and then it got back to being good. I don't hate this finish. I don't hate this match, and I think that if there was a certain factor removed from this equation altogether, and from the storytelling of it all together, we would be looking at this main event in a much better regard.
Agreed. 100% agreed. And honestly, while this was my least favorite thing all weekend, up until a certain point, I was with it. I was enjoying it. It was building and building. It's just what it built to, I have a problem with. That, and honestly, once again, Vegas sucks. Don't ever go back there. Them booing Cody kind of threw off the vibe of this match, and you can tell that Cody and John were trying to adjust a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was.
It didn't make it bad, but it made it weird.
Well, and it's difficult because John said a lot of true things about Cody.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that people were turning on Cody. I don't think that was it. It's just that it's John Cena.
I forgive it because this is John Cena's last WrestleMania. He's going for the record. He turned heel, and no one ever thought that would ever happen.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons why the crowd was behind. They weren't so much anti-Cody as they were pro-John Cena.
Yeah, and I loved this entrance. White text, black background. That's
Me too. It was perfect.
It was cinema. It was all the color is gone from no more Fruity Pebbles. It is purely Cocoa Puffs here in this son of a bitch. But then we get cool, radical dirt bikes in our Let's Showcase More vehicles.
I like Downhill Domination too. That's a reference.
Like they didn't learn their lesson from Austin just a couple minutes ago.
No,
Let's get dirt bikes.
To be fair, none of those people had libations beforehand.
Yeah, but what if one of them, well, that we know of, but what if one of those dirt bikers hit one of the pillars that all of those fans are on, and they all collapse and they Sorry, I shouldn't laugh at that image, but right after Steve Austin hits a fan there, one of the bikers hits a pillar, all those people on the top of the stage fall over.
And then everyone realizes, oh crap, we have to drive home.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well,
And then Cody comes out with his weird Captain Grimm automatic helmet.
I was going to say, hey, Mr. Grimm got the Iron Man DLC.
Hey, season 2 of Twisted Metal is going to start any day now, so I'm excited for that.
Oh, me too. I was going to say somebody added a mod. Somebody ROM hacked Cody, and they added the Iron Man face onto Cody Rhodes as Mr. Grimm.
Oh, man.
Then we get Brandy Rhodes and Liberty, and they're there, and Cena goes, or I'm sorry, and Cody goes, "Hi, I love you, family. I'm going to die soon." And they start...
You're going to be very disappointed by what you're about to watch.
Well, they start this match, and it's Alicia Taylor being all Alicia Taylor on it.
Yep.
And it starts out with some basics.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote there, God, John is pale as fuck.
He sure is.
He is... Could you have like just rubbed bellies with Paul Heyman and taken a little bit of that?
There are things that are certain in life. Death, taxes, and world champions and wrestling companies named John who need a tan.
Pale Johns.
Yes.
As
the era of Pale John.
Fuck the Renaissance era. It's the Pale Johns era. But John's strikes have sting. You could tell that John was putting more effort to look sharper in this entire matchup. You know, when they do the couple things, headlock takeover, blah, 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 and Cena takes a powder, and, you know, there's a lot of milk in this match. No surprise there.
Mm-hmm. But, we will get to the most egregious milker later.
Oh, we will. Well, Cena hits a sidewalk slam and does a couple double axe handles.
Not gonna lie, I kind of popped when he did the sidewalk slam because he barely ever does that move, and it looks good whenever he does it.
Yeah, and I'm always a sucker for a double axe handle off the second rope. I know it's simple, but it's I've always liked it. So, but then we get a flurry and a thumb to the eyes into a tornado DDT, which was really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Cody starts to make a comeback, do the AA, and then the what was it? The disaster kick that comes out of that.
That he doesn't need to do, but he does it anyway because he's Cody.
Yep, and then we get a 2 count from that. Then we get a super AA with a 2 count. Then we get a super Cody cutter for a 2 count. Then the STFU, which looked more like an STF, and Cole called it the STFU, which was nice, but it looked bad.
Yeah.
I was like, why can't you do what you did with Punk? That was so much better. Why go back to looking like Cody just needs to duck his head and he's out of it?
Why just choke him with your biceps?
Yeah, I don't know.
Kind of.
Which aren't even as impressive as they were before. That kind of validated it.
Or the same color anymore.
But yes, literally. And then there's a ref bump. And Cody does the crossroads, but there's no ref. I am glad they did this. Because this made Cody at least look and feel strong during this whole cavalcade of debauchery.
We have now arrived at... Because up until this point, I was enjoying the match. I was with it. And you know what happened next, Sean?
Well, Cena took the turnbuckle pad off and got a 4th AA and a 2 count. And then...
Bing! 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 If I never hear this song in my life again... Okay, this was where the match absolutely died for me.
I don't see the point of why they did this.
Because The Rock wasn't there and they needed a proxy, and they were all, the whole week, they were talking about, oh, Travis Scott's going to get a receipt. But my biggest problem with this, if they would have done this 3 times faster, it would have been fine.
This took a while. I skipped half of him getting to the ring. Because I could, because I watched this the day afterwards.
Watching this live
must have been excruciating.
It was excruciating. He took... You could have watched The Lord of the Rings, Return of the King Extended Edition by the time he was at the top of the entrance ramp to the ring. Took forever. And then he yanks the referee out of the ring after Cody's trying to pin Cena. And then, again, he gets in the ring. And if he would have gotten in the ring and then throws a punch and then Cody hits him with the crossroads, that would have been fine. But again, it took forever.
And he brought another fake belt to a world title situation.
I also hated that. But I wouldn't have minded this if it didn't take so long. And then, of course, because the dude's not a wrestler, he's a rapper that I don't care about because I love you, Sean, but I'm not a big fan of rap. I'm sorry.
Travis Scott is not rap. Travis Scott is bullshit. I will not associate the two with each other.
But, he was trying to sell the crossroads, but the part that really just encapsulated everything.
He died, though. He just literally corpse sold. He didn't even bother to roll around. He literally just let Cody use his full strength to just kick him out of the ring.
Well, part of the problem, Cody was it took Cody 5 minutes to kick him out of the ring. Because what he was supposed to do was take the crossroads and roll out of the ring and sell on the floor. But no, he's just dead in the ring.
Dead.
And Cody kicking at him to make sure he's dead, trying to get him out of the ring. And again, it took forever for him to finally get out of the ring. And then after that, for me, honestly, the whole Travis Scott thing taking forever killed this match. Because then they went back into, it's Cody versus Cena with no ref now. And then Cody tries to do Cody's going to hit him with the belt. Because John Cena tries to hit Cody with the belt, like at Elimination Chamber. But Cody stops him. He gets the belt, but he won't do it because John Cena is Cody's hero. Problem is, we already saw something similar to this with the AJ Styles-Logan Paul matchup. Very similar idea. And then Cena kicks Cody in the balls, which this is the second main event of WrestleMania in a row where it is revolved around a nut shot. And then he hits Cody in the brain with the belt. 1, 2, 3. And I was just sitting there, and the first thing out of my mouth was, that's it? That's it. And then they celebrate, and the show goes off the air. And I was like, fuck this. That sucked so hard. I absolutely... I was fine with the match until the exact moment that Travis Scott came out. And it killed it for me, and that finish was absolute dog shit.
Well, I don't think it would have been dog shit if Travis Scott had not been involved.
Or if at least he didn't take 3 hours to do everything he did.
Yeah, because I don't hate the idea of Cody not wanting to do it with Cena because, Cody has been hesitant to do it with people like AJ and I forget, and Kevin Owens, but those two gave him reasons to do that to them, where Cena had basically just challenged him that he wouldn't have the balls to do that, and questioned Cody's morality in a way that the other two hadn't, and Cody had, believed discretion was to not do it, but Cena made him pay for it immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that and the fact that he pinned Cody instead of choking him out, which I was dreading. I was dreading that he was going to choke him out the way he did Punk. Oh, the worst case scenario, he chokes him out. Thankfully,
but again,
that didn't happen.
In a vacuum, everything they did would have been fine in a vacuum. But
well, and that's the thing. I don't even mind. The Travis Scott stuff was stupid. Here's what I didn't like about Travis Scott. It's not even that he was there. It's that he's there instead of The Rock. Like,
Yep.
That's a lateral substitution. And
he was
also,
there, The Rock's proxy.
And also, what bothers me about that is that John Cena looks at Travis Scott like, oh, thank God, my savior. And fucking Cody, as Cena's distracted, is begging on Travis Scott like Cody Rhodes is or like Travis Scott is an equal. And Travis Scott is worthy of intimidation and things like that. It's like, this is a fucking scrub. This is
But Sean, this is one WWE-ism that has not gone away with the administration change. They still get all googly gaga-eyed whenever a celebrity acknowledges their existence.
Well, but
whenever a big quote-unquote star outside of wrestling acknowledges them, they cannot help but whip out their dicks and roll out the red carpet and worship them.
Well, the difference here in this situation is that a lot of the times they do that, but not, and they'll get like a choke slam or something in, or something like that, and they'll, have their one moment in the sun. This felt like they were trying to get Travis Scott over as a wrestler.
Yep.
And that's what A, scares the shit out of me, and B, annoys the fuck out of me. This is WrestleMania, and it's not about Travis Scott. And
yep.
That's what bothers me about all of that. This isn't about him. He's bringing a fake belt to a spot, and then he sells like a corpse when he gets his comeuppance, which wasn't real comeuppance. That's not a real receipt. That's a work.
If this was The Rock instead of Travis, this would have been so much better. It would have made way more sense.
Or if The Rock had come with Travis Scott.
That's what I was expecting.
And
part of what was pissing me off when Travis was taking 35 years to get to the ring, the whole time I was like, The Rock's music's not hitting. Where's The Rock? Can you smell? Where is it? And it just, and for like the last like 5 to 6 to 7 minutes of this match, the whole time I was like, where is The Rock? If The Rock was going to be here, he would be here now.
Well,
and he just wasn't.
And I guess now we are at the point. We have to get to this point. So overall, I did not hate this match. I thought the match was great. It's just the biggest problem is it wasn't what was there. It's what wasn't there.
The saying was the elephant in the room. The problem is the elephant wasn't in the room.
Yes. And here's, okay. When we did the State of Wrestling podcast and Skylar and myself talked, I said, if The Rock is not at WrestleMania, I'm going to be cutting a pretty intense level promo on him. Well, here we are. Here we are. Here's what I'm going to say about The Rock. This WrestleMania build would have been better without The Rock. This WrestleMania build this John Cena turn would have been better without The Rock. This company would have been better without The Rock. And this is not even just talking about this past calendar year. Let's go back and see how many times The Rock has been spoon-fed this. Since 2004. when he was doing when he was going to Hollywood, doing Scorpion King and things like that, and he returned as Hollywood Rock to work with Hogan and lose to the Hurricane, and then get speared by Goldberg and leave for another 9 months. He comes back and does a couple of things, but at least then you could make the case that he was still trying to be the team player for the WWE.
And he wasn't, and like when he came back at WrestleMania 20, it was in an undercard match.
Right. It was Rock and Sock versus Evolution, right?
Yeah.
So it was not, you still could handle that level. But then he shows up in 2011. And everything revolves around The Rock from that point on. To the point where, say what you want about The Miz, but the reason that The Miz was never, ever, ever taken seriously was how they booked that main event at WrestleMania 27. The Miz retained, and nobody even knew his name at the end of it, because it looked like The Rock had won WrestleMania as the host.
Yep.
Just to set up next year's WrestleMania. Just so that everything that happened between then and now didn't make a fucking bit of difference. All the wrestlers beyond that, they were all beneath The Rock because they've already set up the match for a year later. Didn't have to do shit to get that main event. It's why Punk started getting off on the stuff that he was doing. And that attitude from The Rock and from management has never changed. The year after that, after Rock and Cena won, he wins the title from Punk. So that he and Cena can do their deal again.
And their rematch at 29 sucked.
It was nowhere near what the first one was. I mean,
no,
The Rock also spilled his guts out really early in the matchup, so that didn't help. But
yeah.
But in any case, but still, that whole period is really not that dissimilar to now. We think it's just in this recent period. No, The Rock has had this attitude and has been condoned in this attitude for well over 14 years now.
Yep.
The bad thing is, now he's got control of the office. And so he'll show up whenever he wants to prove that he's better than everybody there because he is The Rock. And
it's even worse because even back like in 2011, 12, 13, he was still doing all right in the box office and in the movies. Now, no one wants to see his movies anymore.
Well, because people see through the insincerity. That's the thing.
Also, that and he's been around for so long.
Yeah, doing the same movies.
Yep. Like there's a reason why people are sick and tired of Gal Gadot. There's a reason why people are sick and tired of Jack Black. People were getting sick and tired of Chris Pratt. There are some actors that are in everything, and you just get sick of seeing them.
Yeah, and honestly, his movies have been getting worse and worse in quality, and a lot of it is not even just specifically him, but there is a lot of it that is his name, and his phoniness. Through everything is about Instagram, and I have to do all of my good deeds with a camera crew around. It's everything is about The Rock's image. And everything is about just and look at how roided up that dude is and tell me that that's not his number one focus is his image.
And the fact that in every movie he's in, it's in the contract that he can't lose a fight in a movie. Are you kidding me?
And he thinks, and there's the piss bottle story and all of that. But here's the thing that bothers me. He thinks that because the big, bad, scary world is turning on him, that he can use WWE as his safe house. Yep, and he can come back and be adored and loved because this is my home and this is where I cut my teeth and they're always going to love me here. And so when he just took that title from Cody and he got confused, genuinely confused, when everyone said, no, fuck you, we want Cody Rhodes, he didn't get it at first. Clearly he didn't get it at first, and even though he would claim he said he's the one he's turning heel, I don't believe that for a fucking second. I don't believe he's the one who suggested to do that. I think they made the best of a situation because they knew that they had one shot to regain the goodwill of the fans. Mm-hmm. And Triple H righted that ship.
Yep.
That's what I think happened there. And then just to make The Rock feel good, they did the documentary to make it feel like The Rock came up with that idea himself. We'll know, there's no doubting the length that he will go to stroke his own ego, hence giving himself a fake belt from somebody he never had any real interaction with Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
And you know that has been his attitude forever. And then we get into this past calendar year where he shows up twice. He shows up at Bad Blood just to take a main event Hell in a Cell match away from Punk and Drew, to stand there and point his finger up in the air, cut a promo on Instagram, do nothing until he can get drunk at the first Raw on Netflix and talk nonsense to Cody Rhodes about, and in the next couple of weeks about I Want Your Soul, and our grandmas used to go play bingo on Thursday nights at the fucking rec center, and go through all that. They do the Sell Your Soul thing, and he wants Cody to turn. He wants the cash cow babyface to turn heel like Austin, and that gets rejected, so Cena gets in, and that must disdain Rock so much that his second precious idea is fucking not gonna go, that he just decides to abandon WrestleMania altogether. Because I guess it's beneath him to actually remain involved and here's the thing, I didn't put up with 20 years of Vince's bullshit just to deal with another 15 years of The Rock's. I didn't say to you, stop fucking with my wrestling. And it shouldn't be one problem for another problem. That is not the issue, and I know that Vince in part created this problem because he's the one who encouraged all of this. But here's my problem with this. He thinks this place is a safe haven, and I hope, and I really do believe that people are now, especially with the way this ended, people are not going to let this place be a safe haven for him. So I implore all of you out there, and I know you can like The Rock, and you can like what The Rock has accomplished, so I'm going to make a distinguishment here. I am not talking about The Rock. I'm talking about Dwayne. And I'm only going to refer to him as Dwayne from now on, or Dwayne West, if you really want to get into it. But I'm done with Dwayne. I am completely done with Dwayne. And at this point, I am urging all of the fans out there that every time The Rock is there, make sure he knows he is not welcome. Make sure, because this Mania feels so sour purely on the shoulders of The Rock deciding that he's more important than any of it. This is on the shoulders of him not showing up and truly revealing that he never really cares about this business. He cares about his image, he cares about money, and that's it. This feud would have been better without him. Travis Scott wouldn't have had to get involved in the first place in Elimination Chamber. We wouldn't have had the need for a receipt, and we wouldn't have had this Guga wedged into the middle of an otherwise great match that will always have an asterisk by it, which is not fair to John Cena.
This is his final WrestleMania, and he just broke the record.
He just broke the record and turned heel for this. And the guy who it was framed around couldn't be bothered to show up to actually make it feel like it meant what it was supposed to mean. If you're gonna fuck with it, follow through with it. Don't do this start and stop bullshit, because the only people who are going to be pissed off about it are the fans, and Triple H is going to be damaged by this because the goodwill that you built up last year, you have lost a good chunk of in doing what you have done to this show. This is not Triple H's fault. This WrestleMania feels flat purely because of Dwayne.
I second that. If there's one person I really feel bad for, it's Triple H. Because The Rock has been getting a lot of shit, deservedly so. But unfortunately, Triple H has also been getting a lot of shit over the past day or so.
He's going to be the fall guy for it long term.
He has absolutely been the fall guy, honestly, since the Royal Rumble. Because this whole build, not even just WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2, this whole build, like, has been felt like it's lacking something. Like at the Rumble, we're like, what are you doing? You're kind of doing some weird stuff, but we were like waiting to see where they go with it, because we all, like me, I questioned the Jey Uso thing, and we questioned the Charlotte thing too, but it turned out to be a way to get Tiffany over. So, and Jey, his moment happened. We're now on the following action. Eventually, we'll eventually get to the resolution. But I remember out of Elimination Chamber, everyone was like, finally, it feels like WrestleMania season. We've got something. And then The Rock still, to right now, has not shown up. And this has been it's been so unbearably noticeable since WrestleMania, since Raw after Mania last year, where he had that weird kind of almost homoerotic promo with The Rock. It was like, give me yours and I'll give you mine. And then we don't see him again until Bad Blood, just so he can do his favorite thing ever, which is steal CM Punk's main event, just for a brief 10-second cameo.
Just for the fuck of it, yeah.
No follow-up whatsoever until Elimination Chamber, where, honestly, if he was involved and they had this, like, Hollywood heel cabal where it had, like, these weird, like, Hollywood Illuminati undertones, it could have worked. Another aspect that's so infuriating is if The Rock followed through and actually did and committed to this could have been a legendary, like, heel faction for a few months. And it could have made John Cena's heel turn so incredible.
This could have been an all-time angle for WWE.
What we could have had and what we got is such horseshit. And it's also because The Rock cannot decide whether he is a failed Hollywood actor or a wrestler. And I'm like, Dwayne, fucking pick one. This 1 foot in one world, 1 foot in the other shit has got to stop.
And you're not liked in either anymore, and you're gonna lose both.
You are destroying the creative practices of this company. All of the goodwill that I feel so bad for Triple H.
Yeah, me too.
He got control. He got the keys to the kingdom in 2022 around SummerSlam. Then Vince McMahon tried to return and tried to ruin everything. And then finally he got kicked to the curb because of the awful things he was doing. And we were all like, okay, finally, Triple H and TKO, they got the control back. And then The Rock tried to ruin everything. And then they had to pivot back. And 2024, for the most part, was a good year. And now in 2025, Triple H is... It's like Triple H is playing a game of marbles where he's trying not to drop any marble. But he keeps getting sucker punched by assholes. You know what I mean?
I do.
He's trying so hard to make this good and interesting. But, Rock, pick one. Either you're here or you're not.
Yeah. And
stop fucking up this show.
Yeah. And when I say, and I mean this with every intent, The Rock kind of ruined this WrestleMania for everybody.
Yeah, he did.
And honestly, I will say this too, it's that, you know, I feel bad that at the end of this show, instead of talking about all the hard work and the great matches that we saw over the weekend, which we saw a lot of good matches over this weekend, what we have to talk about is this prick.
Yeah.
We have to talk about his absence and talk about him instead of talking about what otherwise would have been a very good WrestleMania if The Rock hadn't ruined the vibes.
Yep.
And it's really unfortunate and a disservice to all of the hardworking wrestlers who this is their biggest moment. For some people, it will be their only biggest moment. And that's all taken away by the ghost of some dickbag, some roided up fucking lamshank beanbag who fucking can't get his fucking shit together enough to decide whether he cares or not about the business that gives him goosebumps.
This WrestleMania will be remembered forever, not for all the good stuff we did.
For all the wrong reasons.
Not even for John Cena's final WrestleMania where he broke the record. What are people going to be thinking about Travis Scott taking forever and The Rock not being here because it wasn't worth his time?
Yeah.
That's what WrestleMania 41 and Las Vegas being a shitty crowd. That's what people are going to think about when they think of WrestleMania 41.
Well, so let's get to the ratings and then let's get the cluck out of here, because The Rock is clearly chicken. And then I said we would start with you first for this round, seeing it was started with me the last time. So your rating for WrestleMania Sunday, aka Night 2.
Before the main event, I was really enjoying this show, and I was leaning towards an 8 out of 10. And if we had gotten, something logical and not stupid in The Rock being an asshole, it could have been a 9 out of 10. 8.5, 9 out of 10, somewhere around that range. This main event sucked the life out of this show. In a vacuum, it was a good match, and I enjoyed it until it led to nothing. It was a good match that led absolutely nowhere, and also Travis Scott, who's still walking to the ring as we speak.
Fiend.
Also, that song sucks. It's an absolutely horrendous song, and the fact that passes for music nowadays, just the world we live in is a sad. That main event, honestly, harmed this show a lot for me. And you might be a little surprised with what I'm going to give this show. I'm giving this show a 5 out of 10 for Night 2. That's how much I hated this main event. What we could have gotten versus what we got.
Well, Skylar threw down a 6 for this, probably for the same reasons that we've litigated. I would not be surprised if that's really what knocked it down for him. I was way more generous than either of the two of you. And the reason is that in a vacuum, all of these matches were good. All of these matches served a good purpose, and all of these matches were fun to watch, at least in parts, if not wholly. I'm hard pressed to think of something that I wasn't entertained at least somewhat in to some degree, and not everything overstayed its welcome either. It had a lot of quality action to it, and there was some diversity to it as well. I really enjoyed the matches. I really did. In a way that I didn't expect they would all be consistently enjoyable. The problem is, this show would otherwise be a really, really good show and a fondly looked back WrestleMania if we didn't have to put up with the fucking Rock. So I tried to be more generous for the sake of the wrestlers. I gave this an 8.5. Because the matches were really good. But every piece of that 1.5 that this show lost is on the shoulders of Douanier. Because he is the one who's fucking this up. The Rock's fucking this up for all of us. And it's not right. It's not right. And I really think that there's going to be a reckoning with that at some point where Triple H is going to go, you know what? Enough is fucking enough. So, I don't know. But WWE right now has a Rock problem. And they're going to have to figure out how to solve it. And I think we're going to see this play out more than we think.
Hey, Skylar, stop bragging about how correct you were all along.
That's right. It was me, Austin. It was me crashing that ATV all along. As we have now officially crossed the plane of insanity, as we often do at the end of a WrestleMania review. But what a time to be here. Joshageddon, thank you so much for being a part of both of these halves of our WrestleMania review.
And the entire one over here on
And the entire one over there that has gone on for an absurd amount of time. But folks, speaking of time, it is time to take our first commercial break. When we come back, Skylar will be back. We'll talk about AAA. We'll talk about what he feels about the show. We'll hear him gloat about him being right about The Rock, and much, much more. Stay tuned for all of this and all that you could possibly ask for in podcast previous. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, all of the stuff that you know what to do. You hear it ad nauseum. And now we will be right back right after this.